Lexius,
Hey, how's it going?
Good, Lexius. Good to see you.
man, it's been a bit. I think we had lunch in like February.
Oh man, I know, right before all this happened, we
Yeah,
had such big plans.
yeah. Well, I mean, you were in between jobs, and I think you
Yeah.
just got the job at the space you're at now. Um,
Mhm.
and so, man, it is weird. Like we ate outside in a restaurant, not because we had to, because we wanted to, and you were excited about this new opportunity. Can you tell us about what you're doing?
Right, yeah. Oh man, when we had lunch, I think I was just finishing up school and I was doing marketing for this like random video game company, but now I am managing a black-owned co-working space. So it's right, I don't know if you all are familiar with the Boys and Girls Club right off of Imperial.
Mhm.
It's pretty deep in Southeast San Diego, but we have a co-working space now. So I'm the community manager. I create events. I plan, get people in here so they can talk to our tenants, and so we can have community stuff here. And I also lease out the offices. And I do the web development, and I do the marketing. I do kind of a lot,
Wow. Wow. You run the place basically.
basically.
Who has all those different skills? Like, how do you both have this cultural competence, but also know how to code? You're a weirdo.
I'm a weirdo, and I'm a biologist, so that's also a weird thing as well.
So, what was your major? You went to UCSD?
Yeah, I went to UCSD. My major was in environmental systems with an emphasis on ecology. And then I had a minor in African American studies. So I had the cultural knowledge going into that field. But then I ended up doing a certificate in full stack web development. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
you're like the poster child for girls who code, girls in STEAM. Now you're a woman that codes, woman in STEAM, but
Yeah.
then you are actually bringing it back to your community.
Hmm.
Wow. So what is your? How do you identify? What is your ethnicity? What are your identifiers?
Right. So I identify as Black, Afro-Latina, cisgendered a woman. I feel like for me at least, being Afro Latina has been super important in my life, and reconnecting with family from like Belize and from Brazil has been like not only comforting, but just I love to feel like I'm at home and I love to eat all the good food, so it works for me. And then I think honestly, going into college has really allowed me a chance to explore what it all means, not only like in the context of where I live, but also like in the context of self discovery and like what it means to me to be a woman and all of that. So I definitely feel like my what I identify as is something very important to me.
I'll let Mr. Ramos go next because I have a bunch of questions. I'm trying to
I,
share.
I'm just taking all this in. Wow, Alexa, I haven't seen you in like 6 years,
I,
and it's for me. I'm still reeling from just taking in how much you've grown. You were always an amazing student at Preuss. I mean, it's not like I always had these high expectations of you, and you've still grown so much, just beyond any expectations. I mean, um, I'm just so impressed with what you've done, where you are, your growth, and just how you're thinking about yourself in the world and your identity. So, man, I think I don't think I knew about the Afro-Latina part of your identity. So I'm just kind of curious if you can talk a little bit more about um, what that means. And so you have family in Belize and Brazil. Um,
Mhm.
how do you can you talk a little bit more about how the Latina part of your identity? Because I think for a lot of people, they assume there's Black and there's Latinas, and there's not a lot of mixing in there. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think it just helps to have you talk a little bit about your Latinaness. You're Latina too, uh,
Yeah,
and and share a little bit of that with us. I'd love to hear more about that.
definitely. I think it's really funny because not only have I had to experience it, but watching, my father, he's Brazilian, but watching his journey, understanding like as a Brazilian man, what does that mean? That he's Afro Latino, what does that mean? And like having him really put that in me, like, you're Afro-Latina, these are things, this is our culture, this is what we do. I just think it's really important. And even from Belize, so my experience is a little bit different, I would say, because in Belize, there are so many aspects of so many different cultures. Like, I have people in my family that are Creole, so it means that they're most likely either from the islands and then they came to Belize and they mixed there, or they're, descendants of the slaves that were brought there by the English, things like that. So for me, like, being Afro-Latina, it's like, I love it because I feel like I can relate to all those histories. I can speak to my family, and it's like stuff that we just understand and we get. I think it's really important for me because I don't know. I feel like when I was younger, like, colorism was a huge deal. And in my family, I was like the lightest one and all those different things. And being able to say, like, no, that's not what this is. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more underneath this. And, for me, it was like a huge eye opener. And then when I got to college, I was able to take more classes to learn about this identity and meet other folks with identity who also experience the same things. So for me, it was just, I don't know, I feel like I want to say it was a community builder for me because I was able to relate to other folk in so many more ways than I was in the beginning or before I understood what it meant and the complexities.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about San Diego, where most Latinos are Mexican and Central American. And they look more like me, probably. What's your experience been with getting them to open up their conception of what Latinos are? That you have to make them expand their understanding for them to understand your part of your personality.
Right. So I guess this is one of the elephants in the room, is that, like, anti-Blackness is pretty strong in the Latino community, right? And then on top of that, I'm Brazilian, so sometimes there's that disconnect. I feel like as an Afro-Latina, like, oh yeah, but you don't speak Spanish. I'm like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do about that?
And they don't Belize either.
Yeah. They don't Belize either. Yeah.
Well, they do speak Spanish in Belize. It's kind of like the second language that everyone learns. Yeah, it's the second one. So they speak primarily English there. So again, you're like, well, I don't speak that, but we probably, I don't know, I feel like food's a huge part of culture. Like, we're probably eating the same foods and we're probably talking about the same things, just in different contexts. I still haven't found the place where I can meet people there. I feel like what happens is, like, the anti-Blackness is pretty strong, and I try and express like, this is who I am, this is what it is. But it's just, yeah, I think that's something I'm still trying to understand. Not only with my—
Is that why you chose to be the goalie for soccer rather than coming to play basketball?
No, it's because I'm really bad at basketball. That's a different reason.
Well, you're really good at soccer, so that makes a lot of sense.
It just came out of me. And, they used to call me Ronaldinho when I had locks. Do you remember?
Yep.
It was fitting. It was perfect.
Well, so for my honeymoon, we went to Cancun for about a week, and then we actually took a water taxi. Worst traveling experience ever, by the way. But we made it safely to Belize, and we were in one of the keys. And when we arrived, and we had been speaking Spanish, or I'd been attempting to speak Spanish in Cancun, and then, my wife is fluent in Spanish. And so when we arrived to Belize, she was speaking Spanish as we were, giving them our visa and going through customs. And the woman actually said, "Do you speak English?" With her
right.
accent was bad, but with her island accent, she asked my wife if she speaks English, and she's like, "We'll speak English while we're going through customs." And so it was interesting because Belize definitely people look like a big gamut between African and Latino and indigenous and with English influence and some Spanish influence. It's
right.
It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Like, if you ever go back, I can take you. We'll go hang out at my cousin's house. But like, most of my family grew up in the city, So in the city, it's a big mix of people, but a lot of them are Creole. So they're most likely Black Belizeans, basically. So they do speak English, but then there's all these different dialects. Some of them are Garifuna, which is an indigenous folk there. They actually came from St. Lucia, and they settled in the South. This is a little bit more of the history side, but so they speak a completely different language. And then because Guatemala's right there, and there's kind of like, there's actually a little bit of tension between Guatemala and Belize, so we try not to get into that. But when you get closer, that's where a lot of the Spanish comes in, and a lot of people are around people who speak Spanish and all these different things. So it's pretty cool. Like when I go there, it's no problem. The only problem I have is that I can understand Spanish and I can understand Creole, but as soon as I talk, they're like, "Oh, you're such an American." I'm like, "Ah,
Oh no.
can't win." My cousins are like, when we go to this place, just nod and don't say anything.
Like, don't embarrass us.
Right, don't embarrass us. Just keep going straight. No one will think unless you say something. But it's pretty great.
So what is the name of the space that you are now? What is it called, your space?
Right. So it's called the Synergy Center Co-working. And it's center spelled like the European, CENTRE, like the European way. But it's super cool. So Synergy Center is actually a subsidiary of a Black nonprofit that's been in San Diego for over 50 years now. I think we're going on 54 years. And we actually do real estate. So we owned the Bay Vista apartments that used to be off of Logan. Do y'all remember those? Yeah, so we own those, and what we're doing now is just buying spaces to create affordable housing options for people in the community. And then Synergy is a subsidiary, so our job here is to really find ways to foster small businesses in our communities and to give people the resources, financially, educationally, things like that, to be able to like make change and create opportunity where we are.
You seem like the perfect person for them to have in that position.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's so funny. I came to them, I was like, y'all, let me volunteer. Let me be a part of this. And then they're like, actually, you want to have this job? I was like, okay, I think it's a perfect fit. Perfect. So, it really pays to be in the right place at the right time sometimes. And just knowing the right people is always awesome.
Well, that shows networking, and networking only works if you actually have skills. So, opportunity only happens if you're prepared for that opportunity. And that's what's so great about you going out there and, getting your degree and then getting your certifications, so that when opportunity did present itself, you're prepared and ready to jump at it.
Yep.
You're also an entrepreneur in your own right, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. I actually founded a business. It was a year on July 4th, 2020. So that's pretty dope. Yeah. The time flew by.
You mean 2019?
I started it July 4th, 2019.
Okay.
And so like this past, but basically it's called El Miquel Sustainable Skincare Products. And I created basically just a line of body care that I used when I needed skin options. And because I was trying to go zero waste, I wanted to find something where I could feel good about, I'm doing all I can to make sure it's a circular process where I'm reusing things. I'm using glass, metal, and I'm also sourcing a lot of my products from like other small businesses, particularly Black owned and women owned small businesses, which is important to me as well. So I started that last year and it's been pretty awesome. I have one other person I'm working with and we've been really jamming together. So I'm hoping to get a revamp actually by the end of this year. So we're going to see how that goes, but it's been pretty awesome.
A revamp? Like
yeah.
Revamp. Tell us more.
Okay. So I would like, because I feel like something that's really big, I've been focusing on this idea of if you want opportunities to come, it's like my mom used to tell me, if you want money to come, you have to open up your hand. So you got to let something go to get something new, to get that opportunity. So now I'm taking my brand ideas, colors, what I want, and I'm trying to see how I can make it more sustainable, see how I can reach more people, and just kind of change the look and feel so that people can see it and they know what it is. So it's more of like a branding revamp, material sourcing revamp, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And so where can we find your products? Are they available now or will they not be available until November?
Right. So you can actually go on my website, read a little bit more about me and how I started it. And then you can find a couple of our products, our staple products are still there. And then more will be coming. So you can sign up for our newsletter and then you'll get more updates. But if you go to iamlmichael.com, so that's IAMLMICHAL.com, you can find all the information, or go to lmichael SSC on Instagram and you'll see us there too, or you'll see me.
What are some of your staple products? Are these mainly for women or are these also for middle-aged men?
Well, you know what? I like to say they're for everybody. But our main product is the body whip. And so that's just a blend of natural oils that you can use on your hair, you can use on your face, all over your body. It's children safe. So I use it with my younger sister. Like babies can use it as well. We do have fragrances. I do encourage folk to get this small one. Everything's natural. So sometimes it's just natural that you might have a reaction to it, but you want to know before you get a lot. And so we take as much opportunity to like talk with people, see what works well with their skin. And I'm hoping, my plan is, and here's a little sneak peek, but I'm all about natural. I really want to work on infused oils and see how I can use some of the regional specific plants in San Diego, essentially, to create more fragrances. For example, like, I don't know if you all have smelt sagebrush. It's normally in the chaparral, closer to the coast of San Diego. Like if you go to Torrey Pines, that really nice sagey smell, that's that sagebrush. I love that. And like, that's what drives me, to be able to share that smell and that experience with other folk.